Hey, it's Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast and Vinyl Channel. Bootlegs, counterfeits, whatever you want to call them, they're out and around, and today I'm going to feature two of them from 90s era Van Halen, Van Halen 3, and the live album right here, right now, coming right up. Counterfeits, bootlegs, whatever you want to call them. I know last time I did a video on bootlegs, I was talking about not just live recordings, unauthorized live recordings, but albums that either have not been on vinyl or have been reprinted through nefarious means. And I've seen people online call it both bootlegs and counterfeits, so whatever phrase floats your boat, use that. But I personally tend to try and pick up bootlegs, counterfeits of albums that have either never been on vinyl or are extremely hard to get. And what you see usually with these things is if something like a Cake Fashion Nugget or the Alice in Chains' third self-titled album, things like that tend to get made more often than not because a lot of people are having a hard time finding originals of those. But sometimes there's some oddball products that you see out there. I have no doubt in my mind that the two products I'm going to talk about today came about because of the unfortunate and very early passing of Edward Van Halen. These are two things that I'm certain we will get official releases on vinyl eventually. I've actually seen a lot of people online already going at Wolfgang Van Halen about when we're going to get this reissued, that, or Songs from the Vault, and maybe we should lay off him a little bit on that. I know it's the internet and all, but I'm kind of surprised at the amount of people that I've seen going after him about that. The kid's just lost his dad, and he has his own career that he's launching with his latest record that just came out. And I'll get off my soapbox, but I have no doubt in my mind that we will see these records come out along with many other reissues and a lot of other vault material, things we haven't heard before, I'm sure, live recordings and whatnot. But in the meantime, these are just something that were reasonably priced that I thought that I would pick up so I could enjoy for the time being. Now, if you've ever bought any bootlegs or counterfeits, especially with officially released material, you know that it can be a crapshoot. You can get fantastic quality sound, and you could do an A/B comparison with an original pressing and be hard to tell the difference, or you can get some that sound like MP3s pressed to noisy vinyl at that. And I will tell you that with these two Van Halen releases, if you're thinking about ordering them, one is quite a big step up in quality from the other, at least in my opinion. So we're going to start with the one that's the lesser of the two releases, and actually the one that I was looking forward to more, unfortunately, and that is the live album, Live Right Here, Right Now. This was originally a 2 CD set, was released on cassette as well. There is a lot of talk in the industry about how doctored this live record is. I've actually done videos on live albums before. All live albums are doctored, so that personally has never bothered me all that much. But this is one that I love. I love this live album, and it's one I've always wanted on vinyl. And since it got pressed, I figured it would be on 3 LPs, which it is. And I was happy to see that. As far as the cover art goes, pretty basic. I don't think I've ever seen a bootleg that's in a nice gatefold or anything like that. So they just did the one sleeve, but it is wide enough to fit all 3 records. I've actually seen that before, where they put it in one sleeve and then it's barely wide enough to actually hold all 3 records. So they did that with this, and that's nice. The actual LPs themselves are pressed on baby blue vinyl, which I assume is just to match the sky on the back of the album artwork. If that's even a thought that they put into it, could be blue just to be blue. But it's over 3 LPs, which are quiet for the most part. But the big problem that I have with this release, and again, I realize I'm critiquing an unofficial product, but this is more to help anybody who might be on the fence about buying it. The big problem that I have with this release is the volume level is super low. Super low. Like, I have to turn this up probably twice, 2.5 times as loud as almost any other record that I have to get it to an acceptable volume, at least to my ears. And I'm thankful that the vinyl is very, very quiet, because the noise floor is just huge. Like, I have to drop the needle and then turn it up, because if I turn it up and then drop the needle, is like a huge noise from how sensitive everything is, because it's got to be cranked to get a lot of volume. So that aspect, I'm not even sure how you screw that up. I mean, I understand how you can cut vinyl at lower volume, but I don't know why you would. So that's a little bit disappointing. As far as where the breaks in the album are, it was originally a 2 CD set, so they don't line up with the fade in, fade out of each side. It is what it is. I'm not going to complain about that. Again, I understand it's a bootleg. I'm certain that when we get an original pressing of this years from now, not only will the volume issue be fixed, but also it'll probably be staggered out correctly across 3, maybe 4 LPs, depending on how they do it. But the volume issue is huge for me. If you're even on the fence about spending the $50 or $55 that this goes for at the time of this shooting this video, to be honest, if I had to do it over again, or if I knew that this was so low in volume, I probably wouldn't purchase it. The other thing about it, this is just kind of odd to me to include this, but they have a printed piece inside the cover which uses a lot of the pictures that were used on the original packaging for Live Right Here Right Now, which is cool, and it's even got the Van Halen Live, the big bold red letters in the background. But the very odd thing about this is, instead of using the actual verbiage that was included in the original Live album, they've included a article from Ultimate Classic Rock where Sammy Hagar goes on about all the problems with this live album as far as the overdubs go, and how much of it was done in the studio and how much of it was done afterwards, which I think is a really odd thing to include with any version of this album. I don't think I've ever seen anybody try and point out the faults of a live album, whether it's a bootleg or counterfeit or official pressing. So that's just odd. It's not a complaint. By far the biggest issue with it, in my opinion, is the noise floor. The second one that I came across recently is an album that nearly no one cares about, or everyone claims to not care about, and that is Van Halen 3, the album where they switched from Sammy Hagar to Gary Cherone, the one and only album that they put out with Gary Cherone. If you're watching this video, if you're a Van Halen fan, if you're even adjacent to the music industry, you've probably heard awful things about this album. I actually picked it up for a couple of reasons. One, the lead single off of this record, Without You, is one of my favorite Van Halen songs, especially from the 90s. Period of Van Halen. That's just such a rockin' song, and I was hoping the rest of the record was going to be as good as that song. It wasn't, but again, that's a long story. But again, I assume this was probably put out as a bootleg counterfeit because of Edward passing and the vinyl boom, with how much vinyl has really come back now. It seems like everything's getting pressed, whether it's legitimate or not. And this one, I have nothing but praise for. It's a fantastic sounding record. I'm stunned at how good this sounds. There's no volume issues with it. The vinyl itself is super quiet. The dynamics are excellent on this. This is one, like I was saying near the top of the video, I'd be surprised if, when they do get around to issuing this on vinyl, I'd be surprised if the official pressing is going to sound much better than this, to be honest. As far as packaging, there's a couple of cool things about it. The cover art is great, high res, good looking. As far as the original picture was blurry anyways, so not a lot you could do with that. The actual LPs themselves are on 2 different red vinyl LPs, which are kind of translucent. They're not fully, I don't even know if you can see my hand through there, but they're kind of a translucent LP. Nothing really special about the vinyl itself, other than the fact that it's dead quiet, good volume, and really, really good dynamics. And then the other thing that kind of surprised me was in the Live Right Here Right Now. It's basically just a printed piece of paper with a really low res font used on there, and then, like I say, the article is kind of weird that you would include it with that. But in Van Halen 3 is a really thick piece of cardboard that's got all of the, it looks like somebody actually took their time to do the inners on this and actually use the artwork from within the CD and like keep it in the theme of the original art direction, which I thought was cool. And one thing I found too is I've revisited this album for the first time in, I don't know, 15 or 20 years, and really played it front to back. Mostly my intention when I started out was just so I could get an idea of what to say about it if I was going to recommend it or not. And I was surprised there was a lot on the record that I liked a lot more than I did in the past. I'm a huge Gary Cherone fan, so when the album came out, I kind of wanted to love it anyways, just because I love Gary Cherone. And I really did love the first single, but I couldn't get into it when it was released new back in the 90s. And I'm not saying it's the best Van Halen album ever made or anything along those lines. It's probably not even in the top, I don't know, 5 or 6. But it's good. It's a good album. It's a solid record. I'm very surprised by that. So I'm glad that this pressing sounds as good as it does. So that's my rundown. I always ask in these videos if you're a Van Halen fan. If you're not and you just like this video for the information, if you enjoyed the video at all, please make sure to leave a thumbs up for us. That does help. If you're not subscribed to the channel, this is your first time seeing what we do here, we have a ton of vinyl videos for you. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we will have a new vinyl video every Thursday and Saturday for you. And this here was a look at the bootlegs or counterfeits that I picked up recently, but I've got all sorts of videos already filmed and up on the channel, and ones coming soon that are all going to be about way different genres, quality box sets, and so on. So we appreciate you stopping by. Thanks so much for watching.